Okay guys, welcome to alchemy session. So we have the epoxy, the hardener, mixing cups, the mold release, the thermometer, the clock, some sticks for stirring stuff up, and the molding clay, and yeah. So this is the thing that was missing was an accurate scales for measuring. So here we have scales, which is weighs up to 500 grams, which is I guess about a pound, just over a pound, and accurate to 0.1 of a gram, it says. So the process, according to the book, is you mix these things up. You mix them for 2 minutes. You let it lie for 20 minutes. Then you pour it. And then you don't touch it for 48 hours. So that's what we're going to find out. So what I've done is I took some of this molding clay and I just flattened it out to make a simple mold, and I just pressed my screwdriver blade into it to give me like a depression. And so we'll give that a shot, and depending on how that goes, in terms of its ability to release from the mold and bubbles and stuff, we'll decide whether we go for a full-scale attempt. Yeah, so this is the first trial. This scales, by the way, is apparently a kitchen scale for mixing herbs and spices. And so when you power it up, it cycles through its little thing here. You probably can't see it on the tape, and then it shows 0. If you want to calibrate it, it comes with its own little 200 gram weight. You pop it on there, and it says 200.4. Take it off again, we go back to 0. So I'm not half a gram either way, it's not going to bug me. So we consider it good. So what you can do is you put your container on here, which weighs 4 grams, and then I can zero it again. And now what I add will be the actual weight of epoxy. So I'm going to pour some epoxy in here, a minimum that I think I need to be able to mix it properly. Then I'll add the hardener. The hardener is just pure liquid, it's not in any way thick. And so I'm thinking I'll just use like a pipette to measure that in. And I got a calculator handy just to make sure I get the ratios right. I got to put some wax in the mold first. Okay, so I'm going to try putting the wax in with a Q-tip. Okay, so I should have some paper towels handy as well. Oh man, this thing goes off after a while, that's a bummer. Okay. Okay, there's 20 grams of stuff. And 20, 37. So I need to add another 7.5 grams of hardener. 0 to scales. 2. 4. 6.9. 7.4. Okay. So now we don't need the scales anymore, and now we mix for at least 2 minutes. It says. Now it says you let it stand for 20 minutes. Since I'm out in the workshop here and I don't want dust falling in it, I'll just cover it up here. We'll come back in 20 minutes and see how we're doing. Feels like a cookery program, this. Apologies for the background noise. Somebody threw a switch and winter came almost overnight, so I got the heat on in the workshop because this stuff, you gotta be above 20 degrees. So I'm 22 here, so need to keep the temperature up. So right, let's have a look at this stuff and see if it pours. I'll see if I can zoom here and so you get a sense of how well this stuff pours or doesn't pour. It's quite liquidy. Okay, so but the really good news is there ain't a single bubble here. So if this sets correctly, then it means the epoxy material is spot on. It's going to work just fine. Can't say I'm happy about the mold process, so I'm probably going to go get some plaster of Paris, because the problem when I come to do the real thing is it's got to be a two-part mold, and that's going to make it altogether a little more complicated. But okay, so this is poured and the instructions say you have to leave it absolutely still and untouched for between 24 and 48 hours. So I'll check it in 24 hours and then again, but I'll play safe and I'll probably leave it 48 before I try and take it out of the mold. So 48 hours later, first thing I did was I took the piece that was in the cup out of the cup. As you can hopefully you can see in the camera, the top surface is beautifully flat and shiny. So provided my mold is the same, it means the surface should be fine. It's pretty hard, so I think hardness wise will be okay. It did unfortunately stick to the pot that I mixed it in, so I had to rip it out of there, and yeah, it left a lot of the paper residue which I had to clean off. So the other thing I might try and do, just since I'm testing with this stuff, is polish it to see if I can sand it and if it'll come up nicely or not. So I'm pretty happy, as I say, that the epoxy stuff itself is going to be okay. I'm also now pretty sure that the mold is not going to be okay. So I'm going to have to redo this with a different material. So there will be test number 2, which I may not bore you guys with. Because for instance with this mold release, when I took the time to read it in more detail, it says you apply it with a wet cloth to the inside of the mold, then you buff it up, and then you do that 3 times, and then you have a mold that will release. So I can't do that with a substance which is still soft after 48 hours. So I suspect this being modeling clay, you probably have to fire it in a kiln or something to make it go hard. But anyway, I'll see if I can get this piece out of there, just see what it looks like. Boom, boom, boom. And yeah, it's pretty much stuck to the clay. So much for that. Oh, there was a little crack on the bottom, and the liquid went down in the crack, which is good, I guess. It means that the level of detail you'll get is going to be pretty good. Okay, I'll clean this off and then we'll have another look. So I guess in summary, the epoxy stuff is probably okay to use, and especially if I can polish it, that'll make it even more attractive. Molding, that's not going to work with clay, so I'm going to order up I guess some of that plaster of Paris type stuff that you can cast, and also some of that latex molding stuff, because I think the same outfit that supplied this have all of that stuff as well. I might actually try some of the acrylic as well, just to try that, because one thing I'm a little nervous about here is even though this is really thin up here at the top, you can actually bend it, and I don't know if it'll harden any further. I mean, it's reasonably okay here, but so it might be a little while before I have another update on this, because I'm going to order up a bunch of stuff and wait and see how that all goes. However, what did come in the mail this morning was my speaker cloth. And so you may remember I said it was going to be one of these two. Now that I've been listening to the set for quite a long number of hours, because it sounds so nice, I kind of got used to the color scheme, and it fits nicely with the rest of the workshop, so I think we'll be going with this cloth, and we'll hold this one for another day. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I was actually thinking that since this is obviously the main surface, I wonder what it would look like if I put it the other way around. It's a lot less pink when you put it, and would that be noticeable or not? I will say that my experience so far in replacing speaker cloth has not been terrific, so I'm going to obviously have another go with this, and it's a relatively small one compared to some of the others, so you can see me mess up again, or I might actually get it right this time. Okay, I think that's it for now.